Hi everyone, I'm Rincey and this is Rincey Reads. Today I'm doing my February wrap-up and February book haul. There's a really positive response to my January wrap-up, so I figured I would just keep going with it, and especially because there's a lot of stuff that happens that I don't necessarily talk about directly in videos, so I figured I can address it all in my wrap-ups. I put up 3 non-book review videos this month. The first one was my publishing wish, which is basically where I talk about the one thing that I've really been hoping publishers do with books and ebooks, and you guys can check that out. There are a lot of great comments about what people think about this idea, if they think it's possible or not, and also what their publishing wishes are. For Valentine's Day, I put up a video talking about my top 5 favorite relationships in books. And finally, last week I put up a book tag, the Reading Slumps book tag by Reading with Jack. I don't do tags very often, but I always think they're a lot of fun to do. In the beginning of the month, I did rereads of High Society and Uncommon Criminals by Allie Carter, and I just wanted to reread these books before the third book came out. I'm really glad I reread this because it gave me really good perspective about the third book, which is Perfect Scoundrels, and this book came out earlier this month and I read it right after I finished those 2 books, and it was amazing and I did a review on it. I also read the free ebook that Allie Carter put out called Double Crossed, and it's a crossover short story between the Gallagher Girls series and the High Society series. It was like 50 pages, but Goodreads counts it as a book, so I'm counting it as a book. And then I read Scarlet by Marissa Meyer, and I put up my review for that last week. I really enjoyed it. Not as much as Cinder, but I still really liked it, and I'm really excited for the rest of the series to continue, even though I have to wait until next year. I also read The Madness Underneath by Maureen Johnson. This is an art copy that I won from Penguin Teen, and so I read this and I will be putting up my review of this book this Thursday, so you guys can look forward to that. I also put up book reviews for The Unlikely Pilgrimage of Harold Fry and The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight. Those are books that I technically read last month, but I didn't put the reviews up until this month. In terms of my challenges, I have 2 that I have going on. The 50 book challenge, which is to read 50 books in a year, and Mount TBR, which is basically where you're trying to tackle all of the unread books that you own. I'm trying to read 36 books that I owned before January 1st that I'd never read before. So for the 50 book challenge, I'm currently at 11 books were read, which is ahead of schedule, and it's great. For Mount TBR, I didn't do quite as well this month. I had only read 1 more book, which was The Madness Underneath. I had done a lot of rereads and I read all the new books that I bought, so my Mount TBR didn't do quite as well, but that's okay. That's why I only put it at 36. So for Mount TBR, I'm currently at 7 books out of 36, which is technically ahead of schedule. I should be at 6, so I'm doing pretty good right now. Now, for my book haul, if you guys didn't see, my New Year's resolution was to buy less books than I read every month. So if I say read 4 books in a month, I can buy 3 books, so that way I'm at least reducing the amount of unread books that I own. I definitely didn't do that this month. I mean, I knew I was going to pick up a couple books because of Scarlet and Perfect Scoundrels, and that's fine. But then Sushila from Super Sushi Pizza came to Chicago. We got in contact with each other and decided to meet up, and of course I took her to a bookstore because what else are booktubers supposed to do? I ended up getting 8 books this month. 2 of the books you already saw, which were Perfect Scoundrels and Scarlet. This next book is actually one that I won in a giveaway from Kayla the Bookworm. I'll leave a link to her channel down below. I won a copy of Warm Bodies by Isaac Marion, and I'm really excited to read this. I've heard mixed things about this book, so I'm kind of excited to read it for myself. I also picked up a copy of Billy Lynn's Long Halftime Walk by Ben Fountain, and this is a book that I talked about in my last wrap-up. I really loved it. I read this as an ebook and I loved it so much I really wanted a physical copy of it, so I just picked it up in paperback. So I don't really consider this that bad of a buy because I already read this, so I'm not necessarily adding to my unread books. I can kind of just put this away on the shelf. And then these last 4 books are the ones I bought when I was with Sushila. I took her to one of my favorite bookstores in Chicago called Open Books. If you're ever in Chicago, check it out. I highly recommend it. The first book I picked up because everyone in the world seems to be picking this up right now, and it is The Virgin Suicides by Jeffrey Eugenides. I read Middlesex a couple of years ago and I really loved it, and I've been meaning to pick up his other books, and since everyone seems to be reading this one right now, I figured I might as well at least buy it. The next one I picked up is The Pigeon Pie Mystery by Julia Stewart. I've heard mixed things about this book. I mostly just wanted it because it's quite the beautiful cover. I just figured even if I don't like it, I'll like having it on my shelves. I also picked up Agatha Christie's The Mysterious Affair at Styles. I did a review on 2 Agatha Christie books last year, and I really loved them, and I specifically love these editions of them for some reason. This font, just really love it. I only have 3 Agatha Christie novels in this style, and I always just find it only at open books. So every time I go to open books, I look at the Agatha Christie books and see if there are any more of these. There aren't a lot that have been published, so I'm always keeping an eye out, and I'm sure I could find some online too, but I don't want to purposely buy them, but I figure if I stumble across it, it's meant to be. And finally, I came across a copy of Madame Bovary by Gustave Flaubert. Yep. This copy is really beautiful. I already own a copy of Madame Bovary, but it's like the paperback, not really anything fancy edition, and everyone's been talking about the Penguin Drop Caps edition of this book lately, or at least it seems like it to me, and those are quite beautiful, but I can't really afford to spend the money on those right now, so I figured I would get this one. It's really quite beautiful. There's illustrations on the inside. I don't know when exactly it was published. I tried Googling it based on the translation and illustration information that's in here, and so it looks like it was about 1945. So yeah, those are all the books I picked up this month, and those are all of the updates that I have for you guys. I'm currently not reading a book. I'm kind of in between books, and I'm trying to figure out which one I want to read next, but you guys can always follow me on Goodreads. There are always links down in the description bar, so you guys can follow me on there. Let me know how you guys did this month, what books you read, and maybe some books that you really enjoyed this month. Also, let me know how you guys are doing on your New Year's resolutions. So yeah, that's all I have for now. Thanks for watching. Today I'm doing my, it's February. Oh gosh. I put up 3 non-book review books, not books, copy of, what is it called?